Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Wine. Welcome back to art class. This week is part 3 of our Cubism self-portraits. And this week we will be talking about adding patterns to our work. So this week the materials that you will need are a black marker or Sharpie marker, possibly a pencil, and possibly an eraser. So once you've gathered these materials, you're ready to get started. So let's start to take a look at where we see patterns in Cubist inspired artworks. If we look back at the work of Picasso, we notice that there are patterns sometimes in the background, sometimes in the hair, and again here I see a pattern in the background and a pattern in the hair. Remember, a pattern is a group of something, lines or shapes that repeat in a regular way. So I could consider adding patterns to my background or into my hair, just like Picasso. I might also want to think of the work of Roy Lichtenstein. Remember, his work was influenced by comic books. So the patterns that we most often see in his work are those very straight lines and sometimes dots. Or I could even look at one of the more contemporary artworks, like the work of Romero Brito, which is influenced by Cubism and also uses patterns in the background and in the hair. So let's get started. The first thing you need to have is you need to have your Cubist-inspired portrait that you drew in lessons 1 and 2. If you have not done so already, you might want to take an eraser, and if you notice places that you can still see your pencil line from where you sketched, you want to take an eraser and you want to make sure that you erase all of those lines all the way. That'll help keep your artwork clean and neat and will not give you any stray lines that get confusing later on. Then what I like to do is I like to use my patterns to help give some information about my artwork. So if I'm going to include something like maybe some short straight lines, I would think about how that could help make sense of this artwork that is already fragmented and confusing. Maybe I could add some short straight lines here above the eye. And when I look at that, it kind of makes me think of eyelashes. And I want to make sure that I don't just put those lines in one place. If I put them one place, I want to add them someplace else. I could also maybe add some of those lines down here in the lips. I don't want to cover every part of my artwork with the patterns. So maybe if I do the top lip empty, maybe I'll do the patterns in the bottom lip, and here's another piece of the lip that I also left empty. So I made sure I skipped a space, put patterns, skipped a space. I could think of another pattern. What kind of pattern could I use to inspire me? I've already used the straight lines from Lichtenstein. Maybe I could come back and maybe I could use another pattern from Romero Brito. I see that Brito used some dots here in his background. So maybe I could look at some of my background spaces around the edge of my hair and I could say, okay, here's a space where I could add dots. Now, if you feel more comfortable drawing your pattern in pencil first and then tracing over it, that is absolutely fine. But if you feel confident enough that you could draw your pattern without making any mistakes, then you could just do it directly in the Sharpie. Notice I'm trying to draw my circles nice and neatly. And I made sure that they looked like they were lined up in straight lines this way and this way. So I'm not just drawing a bunch of random circles. Now, I don't want to have those patterns everywhere, but I do want to repeat them. So maybe if I have those circles up here, I want to balance that by putting circles somewhere over here. Maybe not at the very top, maybe I'll come to this side, and this could be a place that I could add more patterns. So again, just trying to keep those circles nice and neat. And places that I might just see part of a circle, then I just draw in part of that circle for the pattern. Maybe I could have one more section with those circles, and maybe I'll do that one down here in the very bottom corner. So you can keep thinking of different ways that you can add patterns to your artwork, and you just want to keep going. There are lots of different ideas for patterns. Let me look and see if I have another one. I could add checkerboards. I could add even words. Here's one that I did a long time ago where this is not a portrait, this is a vase of flowers, but you can see I even added some words in the background here because sometimes Picasso would use collage and he would collage newspaper pieces in. So I added some words, and to make it a pattern, I repeated the word grow, 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 grow. So those words create a patterned or textured area in the background. You can also see in this one where I use dots and some other straight or zigzag lines. So keep thinking about how you can add patterns and add patterns to your work. Remember, keep them balanced. So if I have patterns here, I don't want to put patterns here. If I want to add some texture or pattern for my hair, I could come up here and do that someplace where those two patterned areas do not touch. I hope you have a wonderful week. I cannot wait to see what you are doing with your portraits. And until next week, keep on creating.